Yeah,
Easier.
I'm here. I'm
Okay,
here.
so why do you guys think that like Oblivion and Regulator Thanos are like high outer?
Because they'd pretty much would kill the real life like humans. At least that's what like
Okay,
Oblivion
how does
stated.
Marvel treat higher beings like humans?
So like higher beings are like, what do you mean? How do they like treat them?
Different fictional verses handle dimensionality or higher powers differently. Like for example, this one higher power, quote unquote, could be like say planetary. In this other verse, some higher power could be universal, or maybe
Uh,
some other character in
with
some other verse could be outer. Right? It's
with
vague.
Marvel, it treats some of its like higher beings as like beings who can like transcend beyond the pages of the comic.
To what
Okay,
degree?
that's just a
To
that yeah,
what?
you can't quantify the degree. Now would just at the very least be a fictional transcendence above it.
Yeah, it's
All
like
right. Well,
to what degree are you quantifying that, dude?
I mean, it would make them above the beyond realm, so it would
But
technically.
that doesn't inherently infer high outer though. Like
All
okay,
right, wait. Do you know what the page in Marvel is like? The canvas in Marvel. Do you know what that is?
What do you mean? Like,
Right. The comic in Marvel, like the white paper that Marvel's drawn on. Which realm do you think that is?
I mean, isn't it the House of Ideas?
No, the Hives of Ideas is just the place where all stories are compiled and they sit there. It's not the canvas. It's literally beyond the canvas. Like every story that has ever been published by Marvel is part of the House of Ideas, and the one above all is beyond that, right? And the canvas would literally be either the Never Queen's realm, right, or the outside. It's one of the two. Well,
What's
actually,
what's
no.
what's the Never Queen's realm?
Actually, no. Forget that. Never Queen's realm is like part of the outside, but it would be the outside. Though that's the canvas of the comic. That's the canvas of like every story in Marvel,
yeah.
Oh,
right? And the Beyond realm is beyond that, right? But that doesn't mean it necessarily goes into our world, right? You do realize there are
well,
like
I'm
fictional,
not I'm
yeah.
not saying it I'm not saying it goes into our world. I'm just saying it's like a fictional transcendence, like
Okay,
below.
okay.
Hmm.
Do you want to?
Yeah, but it wouldn't necessarily make
Okay,
them
so
higher universal. It would just make them
okay,
higher into one.
so let's do like a basic. Let's do like a basic tier. Teaching, right? Whatever, right? Okay, so like when you have fictional transcendences, that could just be fictionally inaccessibly above, say, the third dimension, which means you could be fictionally into the fourth dimension, right? Because you fictionally transcend that the third. That could be the same as some inaccessible transcendence, right? And then just like how you be beyond something infinitely, you can be beyond something inaccessibly, right? Then there's the fact that you can be beyond something immeasurably, which that would just be, fucking high hyperversal, right? And then after that, right, once you reach 1A, once you transcend fiction, that just means you transcend like one layer of outerversal, right? But that's still
Well,
outerversal. Once you get to high outerversal, you have to be outerversal beyond that of outerversal, right? You have to be irrelevantly beyond outerversal. A fictional transcendence would just be like some inaccessible transcendence, or
well,
however Marvel treats inaccessible transcendences or whatever.
but I mean like some of the beings do view the beyond realm as fiction, though.
That
Which
they
ones?
they could just be like inaccessibly higher than them though. That doesn't
Wait,
necessarily
which
entail high.
ones? Which ones?
Yeah.
Which ones do view the Beyond realm as fiction?
One's like the divine creator,
How?
and like
Wait, the divine creator. Okay, and what about? Okay, continue.
and like I don't know if goddess Nyx would, but um
Nyx would definitely be beyond realms. He literally would like he was recreating like the House of Ideas itself.
okay, then yeah, then she would technically view the beyond realm as fiction.
Mm-hmm. And anything else?
I mean, aren't you trying to say that like viewing something outerversal as fiction would be like what are you saying? Like what do you
Well, viewing something outerversal as fiction can mean multiple things, right? It wouldn't necessarily entail like a outerversal entity can of course see a outer like a high outerversal entity can look at out like an outerversal being as fiction, of course. But if I'm like 1A and you see me as fiction, it can just mean that you're just higher into 1A. There's layers to 1A as well, right? You can be infinitely into Outerversal and still not be high 1A.
Like, okay, so okay, you know what the new speed tier meta was for, like, speeds, right? Like, you'd have your finitely faster than light speeds, and after that you have speeds beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The quote-unquote higher speeds is just saying that it's either infinitely faster than light, it could be inaccessibly faster than light, or it could be immeasurably faster than light, right? Or what you consider like immeasurable speed, you can consider inaccessible speed or infinite speed, right? Those same terms are just to describe like the gaps in speed, or just to describe degrees of speed that are faster than light. That's why the new speed meta was introduced. However, these terms are also applicable when determining when something is outerversal or high outerversal, right? Like, for
Well, what
example, you could be infinitely higher than outerversal, you can be inaccessibly higher than outerversal, or you can be immeasurably higher than outerversal, right? But if you want to be high outerversal, you need to be outerversal or irrelevant to the outerversal, right? Like, you need to be
Right.
irrelevantly into outerversal. That would be what we'd call high outerversal at that point, okay?
So where would Oblivion be if he's saying like if anyone saw his true form, he would like destroy the living universe? Like where would that
Okay,
be into
okay.
Outerversal?
That feat can be taken into as two ways, right? One, he's just fucking around, which he's shown in the past. He likes to lie to people just to like fuck. Or two, it's referring to the fictional verse in Marvel that looks at Marvel as fiction, which be like Gwenpool's universe, right?
But I mean,
Just referring to that.
he was looking directly at the reader.
I
And he
mean,
was
there's
saying,
readers. Okay, wait. Why would he be addressing us? Like he could as much be addressing them, right? Because there's people in Marvel, right, that look at the whole cosmology as fiction, and they're just regular people. Like that's Gwenpool's universe, right? She like read Secret Wars. She read like every Marvel comic, and he
but I
would be
mean, like
addressing her in this context as well, right? So he could literally just be referring to her instead of like us. Like you necessarily can't use this as an actual feat.
Right, and besides that, right, when you say that you're beyond everything, how much beyond it are you? Like, are you infinitely, inaccessibly, and immeasurably? Like, what? That's also the other thing, too. Marvel is just either has very vague statements or very weird statements. That's why it's not high universal.
Wait, look at that real quick.
So would it be Outerversal in DC then?
Wait, DC? Well, first of all, DC's cosmology is like 10 times the size of Marvel's, right? It's way bigger.
Yeah, 10
Because what
times
they
is a low ball, but fuck, yeah.
yeah, I'm just like giving you this estimation, right? It's just way bigger than Marvel's, right? It's like it has Outerversal realms stacked upon Outerversal realms. Marvel doesn't have that many Outerversal realms. It's like 7.
Yeah, it's like, and besides that, right? Like with DC's that you have inaccessible transcendences, you have infinite transcendences, immeasurable transcendences, outerversal transcendences parallel to the outerversal transcendences beyond that of the infinite degree. Like, DC is insane. And then, like, you just, like, literally add platonic concepts on top of that. It just makes it even more crazy.
People be sleeping on Mario.
Legit, people do sleep. People do sleep in Marvel. It just there's
No,
also
I'm not
people who
saying.
like
Look, I'm not
Marvel.
gonna deny. Marvel's pretty strong, right? It's stronger than people give it credit, especially with people like downplaying and saying, "Well, it's fodder to DC." Like, I don't really care if people say it's fodder to DC. It's just don't say like it's not 1A or it's not like doesn't have scaling that could put it at like higher reversal, higher reversal. I mean, you can argue it, right? You can definitely argue it.
Well,
It's just
yeah. What do you consider high outer? Like in your own
I'm just gonna refer to. Well, I'm just gonna refer to it
I
how
mean, isn't
like
high
it
Outerversal
diverse.
like seeing like
No, when you're high outer, it means something that's like outerversal to like the outerversal. Like okay, for example, let's say Superman is like baseline outerversal, right? Then you take true form dark side. Okay, true form dark side, it's like outerversal to that outerversal Superman. So he'd be high outer. the thing is, here's the thing with Marvel, right? Is that like Jazz said, there's not really too many 1A realms, nor are there like parallel fucking, like stacking, like outer realms. Like not to mention, right? Marvel has like problems with vague statements anyway, and narrative context is like all over the place. Depending on the characters, like for example, let's look at fucking I don't know, Odin, right? He has like about 12 statements of saying he's omnipotent when he's really not. He could be like anywhere from like multiversal, 5D or higher, right? Just depending on where you put him on the scaling chain. But he's definitely not fucking omnipotent.
I mean, there's like Darkseid before has also been like stated omnipotent.
He's not really omnipotent either.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
not, but like the point is like
You can never
Darkseid's
get
scaling-
omnipotence in a verse.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
really be omnipotent. Like you could quote unquote be like the strongest in the verse and be like all powerful, right? But not all knowing.
True. There's no omnipotence in fiction. I'm sorry.
Well, we know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like
Do you know how many people have debated that actually try to get their character to omnipotent?
Who?
There is.
I've
Remember
debated
how
several people.
Mm.
I was gonna say, remember how Iska was able to argue Kakashi omnipotent and stuff?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
debunks his own
Mhm.
omnipotent in the same like guidebook.
Exactly.
Havoc beat Zeus on whether or not Sasuke was omnipotent.
People argue Sasuke's omnipotent.
Yep.
Yeah.
What was
my
what was
God.
their argument for that?
I do not remember. That was like 4 months ago, but all I know is that the debunk to it was, well, if Naruto could beat Sasuke, and even
I
if where he makes a clone, right? He makes a clone, right, that has 1% of his power, and if Naruto could beat that clone, but Naruto's not infinite or not omnipotent, then that would mean that even though that clone has 1% of Sasuke's power, that would mean Naruto wouldn't Sasuke wouldn't be omnipotent either.
I mean, omnipotence used to be a plausible thing, but I never thought anyone would try to argue
No,
Sasuke
it
was
never was in the
omnipotent.
first place, my guy. It never was.
You can still I guess it depends on which verse, right? Some verses have different meanings for omnipotent. Omnipotence in Marvel just means great power.
Like Odin was
I
stated.
mean,
as
doesn't it
great
mean that in
powers, but
most
so was
verses?
prerequisite.
Sometimes yes, but sometimes they actually refer to the actual definition, right?
What
Because
does
the
it
writer,
mean in DC then?
It
I
just means
cannot give
great
you an answer.
power.
It literally just means this guy's strong or he's smart.
I'd say that I'd put Dragon Ball above DC.
Oh my fucking god. Anyway, the point is though is that there is high hyper to 1A shit for Marvel, just like how there's potential high 1A shit for Marvel, right? But it's not consistently high outer. So do you concede in that position?
Oh yeah, it's not really consistent with that.
Cool.
I never tried to argue it was consistent.
I guess I did. I guess I just didn't really understand what it needed, what it took to be high outer. So I guess so.
Yeah.